Welcome to 3.16's Math Moment. Today students use prediction strategies that they know to apply it to a problem in order to decide whether their answer was going to be bigger or smaller than one of the fractions in their problem in order to help them decide if their answer is reasonable or not, in order to kind of check and make sure they're on the right track. So we're going to look at two examples today. And the first one says to predict, is my answer for this problem, 9/10 divided by 5/6, going to be greater than 9/10 or less than 9/10? So the first thing I want to look at is my operation, because the operation always tells me a lot about what is going to happen with my answer. Division, normally with division and with whole numbers, my answers always get smaller. Think 10 divided by 2, my answer is going to be 5. My answer always gets smaller because with division I'm chopping things up or putting them into groups. But whenever I have division of fractions, whenever fractions are in my operation, the opposite actually happens. So instead of things getting smaller with division, because I'm working with two fractions, my answer is probably going to get bigger. So I'm going to predict that because I'm working with fractions, I'm actually going to have a larger answer than 9/10. So now that I've made my prediction and I've thought through the process, I'm now going to go ahead and solve. So my answer is my problem is 9/10 divided by 5/6. I'm going to do the keep, change, flip model, or the keep, flip, change, whichever one your student is used to, where I keep my 9/10 exactly the same. I change or flip my division to multiplication, and then I flip or change my fraction 5/6 to be 6/5. And now all I have to do is times top, bottom times bottom. Well, 5 times 10 is pretty simple. It's 50. I could use my 9's trick for 9 times 6. It's 54. I find out that my top is actually a little bit too big, so I'm going to have to divide. 50 goes into 54 one time. When I subtract, I'm left with 4, so my answer becomes 1 and 4/50. Now, because both of these numbers are both even, I can probably make them smaller by pulling out a 2, chopping them in half. 2 times what gives me 4? That would be 2. 2 times what gives me 50? That would be 25. So my final answer is 1 and 2/25. Now, when I'm looking at that, I can go back to my prediction and think, was I thinking the right way? Was my prediction correct? Is 9/10 smaller than 1 and 2/25, or is 1 and 2/25 larger than 9/10? And it definitely is, because 9/10 is just a fraction piece, and with my answer, I have a whole number. So my prediction was correct. So now let's take a look at example 2. Example 2, I'm working with two fractions, and I'm actually working with multiplication. Remember that a dot in math means to multiply. So I need to think about, for my prediction, I need to think about what do I know about multiplication and what do I know about multiplication of fractions. So when I'm thinking about multiplication, I know that when I multiply two regular whole numbers, my answer gets bigger. Think 2 times 3 gives me 6. 2 and 3, 6 is obviously bigger, so multiplication actually makes things larger. But remember from this example, when I have fractions in my problem, the opposite actually occurs. So instead of things getting bigger with multiplication, because I have two fractions, I think that this is actually going to get smaller, and my answer will be smaller than 3/4. So that's my prediction, and now I'm going to solve to see if I was correct. So I've got 3/4 times 3/5. Top times top is 9. Bottom times bottom is 29/20. Now to decide if this is actually, my prediction was correct, and this is actually smaller than 3/4, I could use the butterfly method to decide. I'm going to use my 2 wings and my butterfly to connect one numerator and the opposite denominator and then multiply them, writing the answer at the top. When I multiply 3 times 20, I get 60. When I multiply 4 times 9, I get 36. 60 is bigger, which means that 3/4 is also bigger, which means 9/20 was smaller than 3/4, and my prediction was correct. Multiplying two fractions does actually make things smaller. If you have any other questions about lesson 3.16, make sure to see your math teacher.